I'm in Islamabad, which, at least according to me, is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Rain here was once a joy. You could smell the soil come alive with its earthy scent. But now, every time clouds gather, people wonder if it'll bring a hailstorm or another flood. And in just a few more days, the city's air will also turn toxic. Smog, floods, heat waves, crop failures, waterborne diseases. Pakistanis are reeling from these disasters one after the other. It's one of the biggest crises, and Pakistan has rightly declared a climate emergency. And that's not just a slogan, it's not a campaign. It's the hard reality of a country that finds itself, again and again, at the mercy of forces bigger than itself. Pakistan contributes less than 1% of global greenhouse gas emissions, yet it's among the top 5 most climate vulnerable nations in the world. And the thing is, much of this crisis isn't of Pakistan's making. It's partly a story of global carelessness. It's partly about its neighbors, including India, and it's partly about how the world has built systems, economic, political, even physical, that put Pakistan in harm's way. So today we're going to unpack what this climate emergency actually looks like for Pakistan and if there's a way out of it. Let's start with the floods that recently wreaked havoc across the country. Pakistan's flooding problem isn't just about heavy rains, it's about how the entire river system was engineered. Back in colonial times, the British designed the Indus Basin irrigation network to maximize agriculture for export crops, meaning for cotton, wheat, sugarcane. They built massive canals and barrages and embankments, and the idea was to trap the water, control it, and then funnel it into fields. It worked for the empire, but it broke the river. Years later, we've seen the consequences in 2025. Punjab and Sindh were battered, crops drowned, and cholera warnings spread as drinking water mixed with sewage. Reuters estimated that $3.5 billion were lost in crop damage and over 1.8 million acres of farmland were lost. By early August, more than 300 people had died, and many of them were children. And now we're at a risk of food shortage and waterborne diseases. And Pakistan's own Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has admitted something uncomfortable.
We became a victim of something with which we had nothing to do. And of course, it was a man-made disaster.
He said that illegal construction along rivers and water channels was a major reason that the floods were so deadly. Because when you block natural drainage with housing colonies, hotels, plazas, water has nowhere to go. So the government has started to act.
Keeping the climate emergency in mind, we already have a national adaptation plan. Why adaptation? Because, as I said, we are one of the lowest emitters, so there are very few things we can do in mitigation, because we are already emitting very low greenhouse gas. So what we need to focus upon, as the Prime Minister has said, is adaptation and resilience. So there's a national adaptation plan which was published in 2023 after the 2022 floods, and we have different financial instruments in place as well. So the financial instruments that we have in place are two. One is the finance that we want to get from our international partners, and we do feel that a very important component of this is climate justice. The most important way forward for us at this point is that we're trying to have community-based community level, nature-based solutions for all these different disasters and risks that we are facing. And second, the second financial instrument that we're trying to enhance is our own internal finance, in which we are looking at public-private partnerships, we're looking at private donors and as well as government. And this is the first time in the history of Pakistan that we have now an instrument to have the budget looked through the climate change lens, so that every project that is included in the budget will be also assessed according to its climate effects.
And then there's the part that's not in our control. You see, Pakistan sits downstream on the Indus. India is upstream and controls water releases through dozens of dams. And there are repeated allegations, which are sometimes proven true, that during peak monsoon, India times sudden releases that add to downstream flooding. Add climate-driven glacier melt from the Himalayas, and Pakistan ends up with water that it can't control. This year, a World Weather Attribution study found that monsoon rains between June 24th and July 23rd were 10 to 15% heavier because of global warming. So it's not just local mismanagement, it's physics. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture, and when it rains, it pours. And remember, Pakistan contributes less than 1% of global emissions, yet we're the ones that are drowning. And this isn't just trauma, it's economics too. Farmers lose not just one harvest, but the seeds and capital for the next. Roads, schools, clinics all get wiped away, and families sink deeper into debt. So what are we going to do about it?
Because this is a devolved subject, one of the aspects or areas that I think need to be really worked upon is the coordination between different provinces and the federal government, as well as till the district management authorities as well. For example, the NDMA, which is the National Disaster Management Authority, has a very state-of-the-art office and very state-of-the-art equipment, but when it trickles down and goes down to the DRMAs, perhaps it doesn't, the communication levels need more improvement. So the coordination at every level needs more improvement.
And here's the cruel irony. Just as Pakistan claws its way out of flood season, smog is on its way. Every winter, Lahore, Faisalabad, Karachi, Peshawar, even Islamabad, cities all across Pakistan choke in toxic haze. And it's not just local. This is where cross-border pollution becomes obvious. The BBC reported that in Mumbai last winter, officials literally sprayed water on streets to keep dust down ahead of Prime Minister Modi's visit. And the NYT also reported in great detail about Delhi's trash mountains that are methane super emitters. The Economist claims that 9 of the world's 10 most polluted cities are in South Asia. And the World Bank says that in many cities, less than half of the pollution comes from inside the city itself. The rest drifts from farms, kilns, industry, which is often across borders. So yes, smoke from Indian Punjab stubble burning does choke Lahore. And according to Ayesha models, about 30% of particulate pollution in Indian and Pakistani Punjab travels from one country to the other. But let's be honest, Pakistan's own air pollution sources are significant and under our control. Our brick kilns operate without filters, our vehicles run on substandard fuel, and our cities burn garbage in open dumps daily, leading to smog. So something really does need to be done. And this year we'll find out if Punjab's Chief Minister Mariam Nawaz's dust suspension system with its anti-smog guns is able to give some relief to Lahoris. But first, let's understand what's actually in smog, because it's not just bad air. It's a toxic mix of particles and gases, PM 2.5, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, and methane. Together, these make South Asia's air lethal. One World Bank study estimated 2 million premature deaths each year in Pakistan, India, Nepal, and Bangladesh due to air pollution. And according to the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago, life expectancy in India is cut by 5 years. And in Pakistan, the hidden costs keep emerging. A Dawn report this year highlighted fertility issues linked to rising air pollution. Sperm damage, pregnancy risks, developmental problems in newborns. Pollution isn't just about costs. It's about generations being robbed of help before they're even born. Amnesty International in May 2025 warned that children and elderly are disproportionately at risk from climate disasters. Their immune systems are weaker, their bodies less resilient. Floods and smog together mean rising death rates, chronic disease, and long-term inequality. And here's the harsh truth. Pakistan is underfunded for all of this. Internationally, the Loss and Damage Fund was supposed to help. At COP27, rich countries promised. At COP28, they operationalized it. But the amounts? Just $575 million in the first round of pledges. Compare that to global losses projected at $290 to $580 billion per year by 2030. It's a drop in the bucket. What are we going to do about it?
So we raise our voice for climate justice everywhere, and as a result of that raising of our voice, one fund that was established was the risk management fund. And even though as yet we have not, or anybody has not received anything from it, but that is one instrument that is under place. Apart from that, and we are hoping to get some funding from that in 2026. Apart from that, we have internationally, I'm talking about first, we have the Global Green Climate Fund, we have the Global Environment Facility, we have the Adaptation Facility, and we are working with different United Nations organizations.
The Indus Waters Treaty was signed in 1960. It doesn't mention climate change, and it also doesn't include food management. That has to change. Pakistan and India need real-time data sharing on dam releases, glacier melt, and rainfall. If Europe and China can manage trans-boundary rivers, South Asia can too. But that won't happen if India keeps suspending the treaty whenever they feel insecure.
As far as India is concerned, and its annulment of the Indus Water Treaty, it's illegal. It doesn't follow the international law. It's something that they will have to come on the table with and have to talk to us. And we have already launched our complaints at international forums. To say that we'll be able to talk to India is a bit too optimistic. They are not in the mood to talk, but they will have to be brought. They will have to follow the international law. They cannot unilaterally annul a treaty that is being taken care of by the international law, and it's a treaty that both the countries have together signed. So that is something that we will have to see. It's definitely going to take some time. Having said that, we ourselves need to take measures that will protect us against any forms of aggression, because water aggression is a war crime.
For cross-border pollution, the way to go is a cross-border coordination. The World Bank lays out a roadmap for airshed-wide management. That means Phase 1, expand monitoring beyond big cities, publish data, build public trust. Phase 2, regulate agriculture, waste, kilns, and not just big industry. Introduce airshed-wide standards. And Phase 3, integrate air quality into economic policy. Use taxes, subsidies, even emissions trading to drive compliance. The lesson from China is clear. Beijing was once as bad as Delhi, but a strong regional authority covering Beijing, Tianjin, and 26 nearby cities cut PM 2.5 in half within 4 years. Europe did the same with cross-border air directives. For Pakistan, this means holding itself accountable as well as training on India to tackle this menace. Experts suggest that one way forward is to build an airshed authority with India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. And I know that sounds impossible. South Asia is one of the least integrated regions in the world. But the air doesn't care about borders. Pakistani Punjab's Chief Minister Maryam Nawaz Sharif has already spoken about the need for this kind of coordination. Finally, the global peace. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif told the UN that this isn't charity. This is about justice. Pakistan is drowning and choking because of emissions we didn't cause. Rich countries must scale up the finance into hundreds of billions, not millions. And it must be grants, not loans. China, meanwhile, has rolled out new climate policy aimed at peak emissions earlier and ramping up renewables. For Pakistan, that's both a risk and an opportunity. We're deeply tied to Chinese infrastructure. If Beijing pivots green, our CPAC projects must pivot too. So where does all of this leave us? Pakistan is not just a victim. Yes, we're battered by floods, smog, and heat. Yes, India's policies hurt us and global injustice starves us of funds. But we're also a laboratory for solutions. Flood-resilient homes, farmer-driven weather tech, solar cooperatives, mangrove restoration. The question isn't whether Pakistan can act. We already are. The question is whether the region and the world will act with us. Because the truth is simple. The same forces flooding Punjab are fueling fires in California, hurricanes in Florida, heat waves in Europe, and smog in Delhi. We either build a future together or drown apart.